warm light and splashes of bright colour against the dark buildings and pavements. Some were gaudy and garish, others restrained and elegant, but Daisy loved them all. She had grown up around them, and they were like old friends, comforting and familiar. She turned a corner, seeing the familiar dark shape of the fine red-bricked Georgian building where Buchanan stood. The double-fronted shop had been there for longer than most people in the town could remember, its woodwork still painted a rich cherry colour, the ornate curlicues above the door arches picked out in gold relief. Daisy had always thought that these small details set it apart from its plainer neighbours. The imposing front door was recessed between deep bay windows, displaying a big brass No. 7 and matching letterbox, which had both been polished until they gleamed. It was a job Daisy undertook every Monday morning, along with cleaning the windows so that the gold and diamonds, emeralds, sapphires and rubies they displayed sparkled even more brightly. She had worked there for the past 8 years, ever since she was 17 and Beatrice Buchanan had taken her in and given her a reason to get up in the morning. Because Buchanan's was a place where magic still happened, where young lovers bought rings to cement their union, or where grey-haired men came in search of something to tell their wives, "I'm still in love with you, even after all these years." The jewellery that Buchanan sold was too ostentatious for Daisy's tastes, but what she did love were the stories behind each purchase. They made her feel hopeful, that maybe one day someone might give her a gift of love, and she would know how it felt. By arriving first each morning, Daisy could make sure that items were taken from the safe in the right order, so that the display cases were filled from the back to the front. Given half a chance, her co-worker Kit would remove jewellery at random, so that everything had to be endlessly rearranged at the other end, leaving smudgy fingerprints behind. He never seemed to mind when she pointed this out, simply smiling and polishing away the offending marks, but she was bemused by the fact that he would still do exactly the same the next time around. Kit was the youngest of Bee's 3 sons, and the only one, thank goodness, who worked on the shop floor. But even though she was grateful for this fact, she couldn't really understand why he was there at all. Most of the time he showed a complete lack of interest in the business that his father had set up years before he was even born. Times were tough right now, but Buchanan's had once sold jewellery to a very noteworthy client list, and, when his father sadly passed away, Kit's inheritance had pretty much set him up for life. How he could be so uninterested in the family firm was hard to fathom. Unlocking the shop door, Daisy pushed it open and stepped inside, pausing as she always did to breathe in the familiar smell. Warm and old-fashioned, a mixture of wood and glass polish that always reminded her of stately homes she had visited. But today there was a new layer to it. Resinous and spicy, overlaid with the sweeter scent of cinnamon and orange. She felt her heart lift as she crossed the room to turn on the Christmas tree lights, running her fingers through the bushy branches and inhaling. A noble fir indeed. Her gaze swept the room as she stood back to admire her handiwork. Decorated only the day before, the room looked resplendent in all its Christmas glory. In the rear corner of the shop, 2 5-foot-tall wooden nutcracker figures stood guard beside a huge Christmas tree covered from head to toe in sumptuous gilded ornaments. Each of the nutcrackers held a golden tray, on which shallow cut-glass dishes were filled with pearlescent sugared mice, and at the soldiers' feet a tumble of brightly wrapped presents spilled out into the space in front of them. Huge swags of greenery hung from the picture rail, encircling the room with bright ribbons, candy canes, and smaller bright red nutcracker figurines. The theme for the decorations was the same every year, but for Daisy that was part of their charm. Christmas could only begin once Bee, a lifelong devotee of ballet, had concluded her annual visit to see the Royal Ballet perform The Nutcracker, her absolute favourite of all their productions, and one which she had been to see every Christmas for nearly 20 years. There was a reverence to the decorating process. When collecting the boxes from the storeroom, Daisy would sigh with happiness as her fingers unfurled each beloved ornament from its place of safety. There were things that had come from all over the country, collected by Bee on her travels, and each held a special importance for Daisy. She could remember where each and every one had come from, and which year it had been added to the collection. Seeing them all again was like revisiting old friends, and Christmas wouldn't have been the same without them. Leaving the shop lit by just the twinkling fairy lights, Daisy went through to the back room.